A human wakes up at 3:17 a.m. The room is dark, the city outside is quiet, and somewhere near the kitchen something moves. Not loudly, not violently, just a soft sound, a paw touching the floor. A glass shifting slightly, a tiny object falling from a table, and before the human is fully brain already knows what it probably is. The cat, not a burglar, not danger. Not anything that should matter, but the body reacts anyway. The eyes open, the ears focus, the nervous system listens into the darkness. Because deep inside the human brain, movement at night has never been neutral. For most of human history, darkness was not empty. Darkness had teeth. Darkness had eyes. Darkness had things that moved quietly before humans could see them. And somehow, thousands of years later, one small predator was allowed into the safest place humans have: the home. Not outside the walls, not near the fire, inside, on the bed, near the sleeping body, close enough to hear breathing, close enough to wake us. And this is the strange part. Humans did not create cats the way they created dogs. Dogs were pulled into human life through cooperation, through hunting, through protection, through visible loyalty. Cats entered differently, quietly, almost like they were never invited completely. They appeared at the edges of human settlements. They watched, they hunted, they stayed near our food. And instead of chasing them away, humans slowly made space for them. At first, the relationship was probably not emotional. It was practical. When humans began storing grain, they accidentally created a new world. A world full of mice, a world full of rats. A world where food no longer existed only in fields and forests, but inside human buildings, and wherever rodents gathered, wildcats followed. Imagine an early farming village at night. Clay walls. Stored grain, small feet scratching in the dark, and then from the edge of the settlement, a pair of eyes watching from the shadows. The wildcat did not need to love humans. It only needed the mice. And humans did not need to love the wildcat. They only needed the mice gone. That may have been the first agreement. No command, no leash, no training, just tolerance. A silent deal between two species that did not fully trust each other. You stay close, you hunt what we fear losing, and we do not chase you away. But here's where it becomes different from almost every other animal humans domesticated. Cats may have domesticated themselves. The calmer ones stayed closer. The less fearful ones survived near people. The ones that could live beside human noise, smoke, hands, footsteps, and fire gained access to food and shelter. Generation by generation, the wildcat changed, but not too much, and that matters. Because cats never fully surrendered their distance. They came close, but not completely. They entered human civilization without becoming fully human-controlled, and that may be why they still feel strange to us. A dog looks at a human and asks a clear emotional question. Are we together? A cat looks at a human and creates a mystery. What are you thinking? That difference changes everything. Humans do not just live with cats, they interpret them. A slow blink becomes affection. A tail movement becomes mood. A cat sleeping nearby becomes trust. A cat choosing your lap feels like a reward. People who own cats know this feeling. You can call a cat 10 times and get nothing. Then later, when you stop trying, it walks over quietly and sits beside you. And somehow that small act feels more powerful than obedience because it was not forced, it was chosen. This is where the relationship becomes psychological. Humans are not only attached to affection, humans are attached to uncertain affection, the kind that must be read, the kind that appears suddenly, the kind that makes the brain pay attention. And cats live exactly in that emotional space. Not distant enough to be irrelevant, not available enough to be predictable. They make humans watch for tiny signs. They make humans care about small gestures. They turn silence into communication. And over time, this changed the way humans felt around them. The cat was no longer just a hunter in the grain room. It became a presence, a quiet nervous system moving through the house, a living creature that did not need us completely, but still came back. And maybe that is why cats feel emotionally different from dogs. Dogs make humans feel wanted. Cats make humans feel noticed. There is a difference. A dog often enters a room with emotional certainty. Excitement, movement, noise. The emotional signal is obvious, but cats operate through smaller changes. Presence, distance, observation, tiny decisions. And because humans evolved to constantly read subtle social signals, the brain starts paying attention almost automatically. A cat slowly blinking across the room. A cat sleeping with its back exposed. A cat placing itself near your feet while pretending not to care. None of these behaviors seem dramatic, but emotionally humans interpret them very deeply. Because trust becomes more meaningful when it feels voluntary, and this creates something strange inside the human brain. The less predictable the affection feels, the more emotionally valuable it can become. Humans do this constantly, not just with animals, with each other. Intermittent attention is psychologically powerful. The brain becomes alert to it, sensitive to it, obsessed with small emotional signals, and cats accidentally fit perfectly into that system. They are affectionate, but inconsistently, close, emotionally present, but still partially unreachable. And this unpredictability keeps human attention locked onto them in ways most people never consciously notice. But then the relationship became even stranger, because at some point cats stopped communicating like wild animals and started communicating directly with humans. Adult cats rarely meow at each other in the wild. Kittens meow, babies meow, but adult cats mostly communicate through body language, scent, silence, and physical positioning. Yet inside human homes, cats meow constantly. At doors, in kitchens, and humans react immediately, even half asleep, even exhausted. One small sound from another room can pull a human brain out of deep sleep faster than logic should allow, because the sound itself matters. Cat vocalizations overlap surprisingly well with the frequency range humans are naturally sensitive to, especially emotionally vulnerable sounds. The same systems that make humans react to crying infants also make humans react to distressed animal sounds. And over thousands of years, cats that communicated more effectively with humans may have received more food, protection, warmth, and care, which means something unsettling may have happened. Cats may have unconsciously evolved sounds designed specifically for the human nervous system, not through planning, not intentionally, but through selection. The humans responded more strongly to certain sounds, so those sounds survived, and over generations the relationship became neurological. A small predator learned how to trigger caregiving instincts inside another species. Think about how humans talk to cats. The voice changes immediately, softer, higher, gentler. People who speak normally all day suddenly begin speaking almost like parents talking to children. And most do not even realize they are doing it, because something deeper activates automatically. The caregiving system. Humans evolved to react emotionally to vulnerability, small bodies, large eyes, soft sounds, fragile sleeping positions, tiny movements during sleep, and cats activate many of those responses extremely effectively. But here's the contradiction. Cats are not actually helpless. They are hunters, silent predators with extraordinary reflexes. A house cat can track movement in near darkness, react in milliseconds, navigate silently through unfamiliar environments. Its nervous system is built for killing small animals efficiently, and yet humans still emotionally process cats as delicate, comfortable, safe. The predator somehow became emotionally associated with vulnerability. And this is where the relationship becomes deeply human. Because humans are often comforted most by things that appear calm under conditions where humans feel uncertain. A cat sleeping peacefully during a thunderstorm. A cat calmly walking through darkness at night. A cat resting near a window while the world outside feels chaotic. The human brain notices this. If the animal is calm, maybe the environment is safe. And suddenly the cat becomes more than a pet. It becomes emotional atmosphere. A living signal inside the room that says, nothing dangerous is happening right now. Even if humans never consciously think that sentence, their nervous system still feels it. And maybe that explains one of the strangest modern human behaviors of all. People talk to cats when nobody else is around. Not as a joke, not performatively. Genuinely. After stressful days. After arguments, late at night in quiet apartments, humans sit beside another species and begin speaking out loud about emotions they never say publicly. And the cat does almost nothing. No advice. No language, no solutions, just presence. But the human nervous system still changes. Heart rate slows, stress softens, the room feels less empty. Because loneliness is not only about conversation. Loneliness is often about nervous systems existing alone. For most of human history, humans almost never slept alone, never traveled alone. Never stayed isolated in silent rooms for long periods of time. There were always other bodies nearby, breathing, moving, watching, and the modern world changed that very quickly. Apartments, screens, night shifts, long commutes, sit-off of people who barely know each other. Humans became surrounded socially while remaining emotionally isolated. And this is where cats became unexpectedly powerful, not because they replaced humans, but because they reduced the feeling of complete aloneness, a small moving presence inside the environment. Another heartbeat in the apartment, another nervous system nearby during vulnerable hours of the night, and the brain responds to that more deeply than most people realize. There is a reason humans sleep differently around trusted living creatures. You can see it in children. A child hears thunder at night. The room feels dangerous, uncertain, too quiet between lightning strikes. Then the family dog jumps onto the bed, or the cat curls beside the pillow, and suddenly the fear changes shape. The storm is still outside. Nothing logical improved, but emotionally the body relaxes because safety has always been partially social. Humans regulate fear together. Even silence feels different when another creature is calm nearby, and cats are unusually good at creating that feeling. Especially because they move confidently through environments humans instinctively distrust. Dark rooms, hallways, windows at night, empty houses. Places where the human imagination starts inventing threats. Humans do this constantly. A jacket hanging in darkness suddenly looks human. A sound downstairs becomes an intruder. A shadow becomes movement because the brain evolved to prefer false alarms over missed danger. It is better for the nervous system to imagine something dangerous that is not there than ignore something dangerous that is. But cats behave differently. They walk into darkness casually. They stare into corners without fear. They sleep peacefully in places humans instinctively monitor, and humans unconsciously study that behavior. If the cat is relaxed, maybe there is nothing to fear, which means something very strange happened over time. Humans began emotionally borrowing confidence from another predator. And the relationship became even more intimate once cats moved fully indoors. Now, the animal was no longer protecting grain stores. It was protecting emotional space, bedrooms, lonely apartments. Silent routines, morning rituals. People begin structuring life around them without noticing. Waking carefully so the cat can keep sleeping. Checking the floor before standing up in darkness. Leaving lights on before traveling. Turning on televisions so the apartment does not feel empty. And eventually the cat becomes woven into the emotional architecture of ordinary life. Not dramatically, quietly, which may be why losing a cat feels so psychologically disorienting, because people are not only losing an animal, they are losing a familiar nervous system inside their environment, a rhythm, a presence, tiny sounds at night, movement in peripheral vision, the feeling that another living thing exists nearby while the world sleeps. And when that disappears, the silence changes, the apartment changes, even time feels different. Because humans adapt emotionally to repeated presence very quickly, especially vulnerable presence, especially trusted presence, and this may be the deepest irony in the entire relationship. Cats succeeded inside human civilization partly because they never became fully human. They remained slightly separate, slightly wild, slightly unknowable. And somehow, that distance made the attachment stronger, because humans often trust chosen closeness more than programmed loyalty. A cat does not feel emotionally valuable because it must stay. It feels emotionally valuable because it could leave and keeps returning anyway. Tonight, somewhere in the world, a human will fall asleep while a cat quietly watches from the edge of the bed. The room will be dark. The city outside will hum softly. And without consciously thinking about it, the human nervous system will relax slightly simply because another alert creature is nearby. A creature that still carries traces of the wild. A creature that sees movement humans miss, hears sounds humans cannot hear, moves comfortably through darkness humans still instinctively fear. And maybe that is why cats never stopped feeling psychologically important to humans. Not because humans fully conquered them, but because humans never fully did. The relationship stayed unfinished. Half wild, half emotional, half ancient. And beneath modern civilization, smartphones, locked doors, electric light, and concrete cities, part of the human brain may still feel comforted by the same thing that comforted ancient humans thousands of years ago. Another living creature staying awake in the dark beside us.